it was clear that if we would pass such legislation, we would be the first state in the nation.
Good morning. Great to have you along this morning. This is one of those mornings where I panic because the control board that I'm working on, when I take the board live each morning, there's a blue light that comes on that shows me, yes, the board is live. That way we know the board is live. Whatever I'm doing is going out over the air. The blue light's not going on. So is it an issue where the blue light's burned out or I won't be able to go on the air? So I don't know. So we'll launch it, and I will be listening to the external monitor. So I'll know pretty quickly as to whether we're on the air or not. But these are the kinds of things that get my guts in a knot every day. All right. Weather by Window World, nationally known, locally owned. Call today for a free estimate. It may just be that the lights burned out. And it may be because engineers have been working on site here the last few days. It may be that there was some change that was made that was, we'll see. I don't want to blame anybody for something that hasn't happened yet. You just deal with it once it happens. Cross your fingers.
From the Stone Center at Kettleland TV, I'm meteorologist Brian Carstens. Where the most important viewpoint is yours. Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9. The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
I love the Great Belfrage show.
I've been listening
We're good.
for years.
Everything's fine.
For all you do and keeping us informed.
The lights just burned out.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense.
So these are the trials I go through every morning.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time. I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is the
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show this Thursday, November 14th. It is, well, there's a lot of surprises coming from Donald Trump. More on that in a moment. Let's talk about John Thune, Senator John Thune, winning the race yesterday for Senate Majority Leader. And Senator Thune said, we have a mandate from the American people, a mandate not only to clean up the mess left by Biden, Harris, Schumer agenda, but also to deliver on President Trump's priorities. We will make sure the president and his team has the tools and support that they need, he said. And then on social media, he mentioned that he had spoken with Donald Trump on the phone. Just get off the phone with Donald Trump. Senate Republicans are excited and ready to go to work implementing President Trump's agenda on behalf of the American people, he said. So Senator John Thune winning, and he said yesterday he'll make sure that Donald Trump's cabinet appointments are swiftly approved by the Senate. He said, as you know, the Senate has an advise and consent rule on the Constitution. So we will do everything we can to process his nominees quickly, get them installed in their positions so they can begin to implement this agenda. And he also talked about the fact that, you know, going to need the help of Democrats to be able to see. The Democrats, I think, are going to show what they're made of. Are they going to kick and scream? Because there's just a lot of that going on. A lot of that going on today. And we'll get more into that as the morning goes on. But it's just, wow. I've never seen anything like this. It's just absolutely incredible. You know, bad enough these people think that Trump won the first time. But now that Trump has won again, and now he's choosing all these unconventional choices and people that have been hated by the left to, you know, for cabinet positions. Oh, yeah, it's the meltdowns are taking place all over the place. So Donald Trump also congratulated Senator Thune, and Trump said he moves quickly and will do an outstanding job. I look forward to working with him and Senators John Barrasso, Tom Cotton, because Barrasso named the Senate Majority Whip Cotton as the Senate Republican Conference chairman. Also, Shelley Moore Capito, James Langford, and Tim Scott. And he said, looking forward to working with all of them to make America great again. So there's a lot of reporting. This is a big story this morning. It's in fact trending. Senator Thune becoming the Senate Majority Leader. So this was a closed door vote yesterday. We have talked about that over the course of the last couple of days. We had spoke to Iowa Senator Joni Ernst earlier this week, and she did not make her choice known, and she said it's a secret ballot, and I just that's my vote. I keep it to myself, and so it was John Thune who won. There were a lot of the Make America Great Again crowd wanted to see Rick Scott. He was among the three that were running for the job, and he was out after the first vote. So he just didn't have the support in the Senate. So Rick Scott was eliminated in the first vote, and it was pretty shortly afterward then that John Thune became the Senate Majority Leader. So that's and for South Dakota, obviously, it's a very big story, as well as for the country, I think. But here in South Dakota, to see now South Dakota Senator John Thune as the Senate Majority Leader, and then if Governor Kristi Noem winds up serving then in the Trump cabinet, that puts South Dakota in a position that it has not been in. Has it ever been in a position that strong ever in the state's history? As I don't know. Also, there was other news. I want to share the headlines before I get into the details. Some of this you may have seen also. Trump whirlwind lands in Washington. Trump, of course, was in Washington yesterday meeting with Joe Biden. So Trump whirlwind lands in Washington with stunning moves. Trump's cabinet picks sent shockwaves through Washington. And the Hill says Trump stuns with Gates Gabbard picks. Yeah, it's Matt Gates. Let's walk through this now a little bit. Just a lot of reaction to it. Trump said on Truth Social, announced that Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida nominated to be the Attorney General of the United States. Trump wrote, Matt is a deeply gifted and tenacious attorney trained at the William and Mary College of Law, who has distinguished himself in Congress through his focus on achieving desperately needed reform at the Department of Justice. Few issues in America are more important than ending the partisan weaponization of our justice system. Matt will end weaponized government, protect our borders, dismantle criminal organizations, and restore Americans' badly shattered faith and confidence in the Justice Department. On the House Judiciary Committee, which performs oversight of DOJ, Matt played a key role in defeating the Russia hoax, exposing alarming and systematic government corruption and weaponization. It was a long post that Trump wrote on Truth Social. He went on. But he went on so long that it went into a second post. Trump said he's a champion for the Constitution and the rule of law. He will root out the systemic corruption at DOJ and return the department to its true mission of fighting crime and upholding our democracy and Constitution. We must have honesty, integrity, and transparency at DOJ. Under Matt's leadership, all Americans will be proud of the Department of Justice once again. Well, I don't know that I would go that far. Given the all Americans, I would love to believe that. I would absolutely love to believe that. But we got some nuts in this country right now. So also, as this was being announced, that Representative Matt Gaetz has resigned his House seat. And Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, made the announcement yesterday. This was shortly after then Trump nominated Gaetz. And Johnson said the resignation from Gaetz came as a surprise then. And he said, I asked him what the reasoning was, and he said, well, you can't have too many absences. So this will give Republicans then time. The Republican majority in the House is really small. It's really very small. So what's going to wind up happening here is, because in fact it's just been announced that Republicans actually won the House of Representatives. I mean, I was out in front of that, as we have talked about it. I was out in front of it a little bit more than I should have been, because it wasn't actually until yesterday that I started seeing announcements that it was actually official that Republicans had won the House by a very slim majority. So then when you see Trump appointing Matt Gaetz, now even prior to this, there were some Republicans who were expressing concern about Trump choosing Republican members of the House of Representatives, what that would do to the Republican majority. So whether or not that'll be an issue, I think remains to be seen. We'll see. So U.S. Senator John Fetterman was reacting then. He was talking to reporters as they were asking about Matt Gaetz. And he said of Trump's choice, he said, it's just kind of like a God tier kind of trolling, just to trigger a meltdown, he said. But really, the Dems' opinions on Gaetz, that's not really what's interesting. The good ones are going to come from my colleagues on the other side, the GOP, on how they can justify voting for that blank, he says. So that's also a big announcement today, or yesterday, I should say. Also, Trump is appointing Tulsi Gabbard as the Director of National Intelligence. And then he went on to speak of Tulsi Gabbard and that she has fought for our country and the freedoms of all Americans. As a former candidate for the Democratic presidential nomination, she has broad support in both parties. She's now a proud Republican. I know Tulsi will bring the fearless spirit that has defined her illustrious career to our intelligence community, championing our constitutional rights and securing peace through strength. That's been a constant. Donald Trump is mentioning that every time he makes an announcement of one of these. And he said, Tulsi will make us all proud. So there is a lot of pushback then also regarding this. Tulsi Gabbard, yes, but as Director of National Intelligence, is she qualified for that position? This is what people are asking. And we'll get into that coming up later this morning. South Dakota Senator Mike Rounds will be on the program. Senator Rounds will join me just after 8 this morning. And I'm very interested to ask him about that because Senator Rounds has been very active when it comes to, intelligence of the United States, on intelligence kind of issues. So it'll be very interesting to get his point of view on the selection of Tulsi Gabbard, and also now John Thune winning the Senate Majority Leader. So we'll visit with Senator Mike Rounds coming up about that just after 8 this morning. He'll join us. Also, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem this is interesting, and I want to give KELOLAND TV credit for this. This is a story this morning at KELOLAND.com. And for those of you who get confused, Kelo Radio and KELOLAND TV we have a working relationship, but we are separately owned companies. We have nothing to do with their operation, and they have nothing to do with ours. So we're separately owned companies. In fact, the stations have each gone through several ownership changes. So we just keep getting further and further apart. I mentioned that only because a good number of you, because we share the call letters, think we are still owned by the same company. That's not true. So I want to give KettleLand TV credit for this. This is a story on their website, kettleland.com. And she said, talking about her appointment then to the Department of Homeland Security. And she said, I was honored and humbled that he chose me for this position, she said, but this is the position that I asked him for. I wanted to be in a position where I was dealing with one of his number one priorities. So she said her time as South Dakota's governor has prepared her for this role. And of course, it's going to require her to leave as South Dakota governor. But she's saying she accepted it the moment that he offered it. We had talked about it a couple of times, she said, but absolutely, yeah, I was honored doing that and humbled that he chose me for this position. So she asked for that role specifically. Also, Elon Musk received a standing ovation at the House Republican Conference yesterday after Donald Trump gave him a shout out during his speech. Now, remember, we had the president in Washington yesterday, meeting with the president, also meeting with Republicans in Congress. And so Elon Musk, in fact, and I saw this yesterday, Elon Musk was on the plane with Trump. And so they got off the plane together. The two of them were on the plane together. So Post Millennial says the House Republican Conference roared for Elon Musk. When Trump acknowledged his presence in the room, Musk responded by standing up, smiling, waving to the crowd. And there's television footage of this you can see. And Representative Mark Alford wrote, "We're looking forward to his leadership tearing down the waste, abuse, and fraud that's running rampant in our government." So this, I think, is important to point out because a lot of people on Facebook are missing this point. This is not a new federal government department. This is not a new department within the federal government. It's a panel. This government of, the Department of Government Efficiency. It's a panel. So it's like the Blue Star panels that you and I see all of the time. So folks on Facebook yesterday were melting down. Oh, last thing we need is a new government. No, you missed it by a mile, I'm afraid. That's not what's going on here. This is one of the things when you react on social media and you don't actually take the time to find out what it is that's actually what's actually going on, what's actually happening, because you swung and missed it by a mile. And a number of people doing this yesterday on Facebook, and a number of others who were very well informed and understood what it was. So this Department of Government Efficiency is a panel. It's not people were saying, well, how can you have two leaders on it? It's a panel. It's a panel of people who are going to be looking at this. It's not hard to understand. I think we really, social media folks just get too worked up too quickly. My best advice to you see something on social media that kind of rattles you, or rather than just immediately reacting, do your homework and go find out what the hell is happening, and then go, oh, okay, and then respond. A lot of people were yesterday, and I say this with the greatest appreciation. It doesn't sound like it, but I do. I have great appreciation for everybody who's on Facebook. But when I ask those kinds of questions, if you're not certain, I would look into it. It's a panel. So it's like a Blue Star panel. is what it is. So how can you have, how can you appoint two people to run a government, office? No, they're operating outside of the federal government. And I was really clear about that on the program yesterday. But folks on social media missed it. Also, there are stories about this big exodus from X. And now with the election, now you've got a number of people, they're leaving. Brands like The Guardian and Don Lemon announcing their departures from X. No longer can, it's just absurd. I mean, so many of the comments that I'm seeing is just absolutely absurd. One 39-year-old woman from St. Louis, she's a finance director, saying the day after the election, that was the final straw. She couldn't be, she had been on Twitter for like 8 years, but she said under Elon Musk, the platform became a place where I really wasn't getting what I wanted out of it anymore. So they're leaving X in big numbers because you weren't getting what you wanted out of it, which was spoon-fed crap from the Democrats. That's what it was, from the federal government, from the federal government bureaucracy. It was absolutely spoon-fed to people. And now all these folks are leaving The Guardian. Good riddance, I say. So they're going to Blue Sky. Blue Sky's numbers now have gone through the roof. They added 1 million users since the election. So people are looking for alternatives to X. So they're leaving in droves. Great story this morning at the New York Post about where Elon Musk can start cutting federal spending. It's an incredible piece, and I'll get into this in more detail later this morning because it's just, I mean, those who are saying, oh, this government, the Department of Government Efficiency, those of you who are being skeptical, man, there's money to cut, and it is everywhere. And the New York Post has got a lengthy story on it this morning with examples of this, and they just work their way right down the list. And there have been others who have been involved in doing that kind of thing for years, pointing out government waste. And so I think that job's going to be easier than a lot of you think. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you along. Currently partly cloudy, 32. And this hour of our show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Weekdays at 2. Kello News Talk.
Okay.
107.9.
All right.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires. Key in-store details about how to get rebates from major tire manufacturers. 2 simple locations to serve you.
Whether it's on the job,
I am not feeling well this morning. I went had my annual physical with my doctor yesterday, and got a couple of shots. Got a flu shot, and then I got another. And I think honestly, when I was younger, I could have done that. Now it's like, just dogging me this morning. I'm just not myself.
If you're a business
So
owner,
forgive me.
or if you know a business owner, this message is for you. At Bank Midwest, we understand that your company's operating account is one of your most important.
By the way, I did not get another COVID shot. That's several years in a row I have not gotten a COVID shot. I'm done with COVID.
And we'll even give you a cash bonus to open your account. Shouldn't your company have the benefit?
My doctor and I talked about it last year, and he said, it's up to you if you want to get a COVID shot. I said, no, I don't want one. He said, I'm not getting one either, which I felt pretty good about that. I got a great doctor.
There's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of
If you know Dr. Harbison over at McGreevy, tell him I gave him a shout out.
Just $189.
Actually like them better than my old.
Then I got another appointment coming in. So, I had a stroke a couple of years ago, so I have an annual checkup with Dr. Lynn, who put the stent in my brain. And the guy's absolutely incredible. I've talked about him on the air before, but I've got an appointment coming up with him in December next month. So
protect your loved ones with Vivint Home Security. Right now, Vivint is offering a free doorbell camera with any new plan, plus free installation and low monthly
that's
monitoring
what I'm
plans.
saying. Okay.
Call 800-953-6693. That's 800-953-6693. Monthly service agreement required for free installation.
Partly cloudy skies today for the Sioux Falls area. Our high temperature at 52, southeast wind at 5 to 10. For tonight, areas of fog, low at 31. Tomorrow, the wind picks up from the southeast, 30,
Excuse me.
high temperature at 57. And for the weekend, near 60 on Saturday.
And in Sioux Falls at 6:30, it's partly cloudy, 32 currently at Kello. Fox News Radio coming up here in moments. And then Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center. We'll check in with him here shortly as well. Coming up, we'll run down stories that are trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. It's all on the way here at Kello.
President-elect Donald Trump shocking Washington once again after announcing he wants Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General.
How do you feel about that?
It's
Matt Gaetz.
kind of like a
I asked that
God-tier
question this morning on
trolling.
Facebook. So if you
Just
follow
to
me on
trigger a
Facebook,
meltdown.
share your answer with me.
Senator John Fetterman speaking to reporters. Gaetz resigned his House seat yesterday.
His resignation comes days before the House Ethics
I'm
Committee
really
was
more and
set to
more
vote
just
on
kind of
releasing
deciding, you know what? I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. And let's see how it goes. I mean, let's just see. I don't want to be. There are so many people doing that already. I don't want to be another one.
Trump also selected
You know,
former
carping,
Democratic Congresswoman
complaining.
Tulsi Gabbard to be the Director of National Intelligence, and Florida Senator Marco Rubio for Secretary of State. And Republicans officially keep control of the House. America's listening to Fox News.
News brought to you by Sioux Falls Implant and Sedation Dentistry. They fix your teeth while you sleep.
Kello News Time 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. South Dakota's John Thune will be the new Senate Majority Leader on Capitol Hill.
It's a new day in the United States Senate, and it's a new day in America. The American people have loudly rejected the failed policies of the Biden-Harris-Schumer agenda.
Thune and Texas Senator John Cornyn faced off in a secret vote after presumed Trump favorite Rick Scott of Florida was eliminated in the first-round ballot for Senate Majority Leader. Thune will replace Kentucky's Mitch McConnell, who is stepping aside as Republican leader. McConnell is calling the choice of John Thune as the new leader well-deserved. John Thune will officially become Majority Leader when the new Senate is sworn in on January 3rd. Attorney General Marty Jackley and 46 other AGs are calling on the Federal Communications Commission to help stop illegal robocalls. They want the FCC to improve their robocall mitigation database and close a loophole that's been exploited to illegally access the U.S. telephone network. Voice service providers must register on the FCC's database to operate in the United States. However, since it went live in 2021, the database has done little to prevent bad actors from obtaining legitimate registrations to send robocalls through the network. Jackley says it's time for the FCC to strengthen its database and crack down on scammers. South Dakota is considered one of the best states to find a job. That's according to financial website Wallet Hub that looked at indicators of job market strength and economic health. South Dakota ranked 9th overall, with high marks for job opportunities and one of the lowest jobless rates in the country. And in sports, the Minnesota Timberwolves are on a 3-game losing streak after falling again to the Portland Trail Blazers 106-98 last night. The Wolves are now 6-6 for the season. Tonight, the Sioux Falls Skyforce tip off against the Cleveland Charge at the Sanford Pentagon at 6:30. And in women's volleyball, the Coyotes take on St. Thomas, and the Jackrabbits host Oral Roberts at 7 p.m. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
After the rain yesterday, today's forecast looking dry. Partly cloudy skies with a high of 52. Southeast winds at 5 to 10. A light wind tonight, some areas of fog a possibility, low temperature 31. And tomorrow, rebounding to 57 with a stronger southeast wind at 15 to 30. From the Storm Center at Kettleland TV, I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens.
Controversy and conversation go hand in hand on Kello. News Talk 1320, 107.9, and Kello.com.
Imagine you're on a cruise. In your cabin's bathroom, you spot something strange, a hidden camera. I'm Kim Commando for MediShare. Get a high-quality healthcare plan while saving money by calling 833-SHARE-44. That's 833-SHARE-44. This horror story happened to a woman on a Royal Caribbean cruise. A stateroom attendant, Arvin Marisol, stuck a hidden cam in her bathroom and captured all kinds of images of her. He uploaded these to the dark web. She wasn't his only target. A lawsuit suggests nearly 1,000 passengers, including kids, might have been recorded by him. Cameras can hide anywhere, in vents, lamps, power outlets, even TV remotes. Here's how to check. Flash your phone's light and look for glare or reflections. Next, pull up the Wi-Fi and look for odd devices. Strange names can mean hidden tech. Tap on Bluetooth and look there too. Finally, on mirrors, run your fingernail around the edge. If there's no gap, you might be looking at a two-way. Sign up for my free newsletter at getkim.com.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people, but it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, joining MediShare means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people, obviously. But what's more, MediShare members like it a lot. Their satisfaction rate is 98%. Imagine that. And MediShare is a proven thing, too, for over 30 years. It's a Christian community of hundreds of thousands of people now. And here's the thing. If you join before November 15th, and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee. So you save even more right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call and you'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is November 15th. So call now. You'll save even more. Here's the number, 833-SHARE-44. That's 833-SHARE-44, 833-SHARE-44.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires, your Give You More tire and automotive store. Financing programs available. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Leaves are falling. Get your gutters cleaned and replace this fall and get ahead of the predicted wet, heavy snow with ABC Seamless. Voted local best 20 years in a row. They like to thank Sioux Falls. Call today. ABC Seamless.
At Bethany Homes, Sioux Falls, Brandon, and Meadows,
It was a shingle shot I got yesterday. I got a flu shot and a shingle shot, and I think it was too much for me. Seriously, because, I'm not a young guy anymore. I'd like to think I am. I'm tough. I can handle a couple of shots. No, I can't handle it. Oh, man. I am really feeling like, whoo.
Most auto repair places will simply replace your transmission, costing you 50 to 70% more than if you went to a transmission specialist. Do yourself a favor and save yourself time and money by taking your vehicle to the pros at Jim's Transmission. They know all the ins and outs of automatic transmission diagnosis. Jim's Transmission, the transmission-only specialist, where transmissions are all they do. Check out their website at jimsautotrans.com for coupons and specials. You'll find their phone number there too, jimsautotrans.com. That's jimsautotrans.com. Jim's National Transmission downtown at 4th and Webber.
Okay, some mornings you might not have that get up and go.
Ooh, but at least you can get up and go.
The Greg Belfrage Show, with insightful opinions on the latest stories and frequent weather updates. It'll get you in the know while you're getting ready to go. Kello News Talk 1320.
.638, partly cloudy and 32. Good morning, my friend. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. Really appreciate having you here. This hour brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
Well, the story's trending this morning. President Trump President-elect Trump And President Biden met in the Oval Office yesterday. So Donald Trump returning to Washington yesterday and visiting the White House. It was an Oval Office meeting with the president, and the president again committed to a smooth transition of power. And he said, Donald, congratulations. Shaking Trump's hand, said he looked forward to a smooth transition. And then Trump said, thank you very much. Politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today. And I appreciate it very much. So it was I think a pretty, that's what I expected it to be. Really not anything beyond that. So Donald Trump also meeting with lawmakers yesterday, received a standing ovation from House Republicans. And Trump said, I suspect I won't be running again unless you say he's good. We got to figure something else, Trump said. So House Speaker Mike Johnson called Trump the comeback king. He said, we owe him a great debt of gratitude. And he said that Republicans are ready to deliver on Trump's America First agenda. And meanwhile, the president of South Korea is brushing up his golf game again. He's taking up golf again, he said, for the first time in 8 years in preparation for golf diplomacy with Donald Trump. Other stories that are, I'm going to get to the Trump stories here first, and then we'll come around to Senator John Thune winning as Senate Majority Leader. There's a lot of selection then of Republican leaders in Congress yesterday. So I'll pick that up in a moment. While we're talking about Donald Trump, Trump apparently is going to try and stop that TikTok from getting banned in the United States. This is coming from Kellyanne Conway, who is a former Donald Trump advisor and campaign manager. She told I think the New York Post that that Trump appreciates the breadth and reach of TikTok, and that there are many ways to hold China to account outside of alienating 180 million U.S. users each month. So the Post also cited 3 anonymous Trump aides who believe that Trump will intervene on TikTok's behalf to try and stop the ban. Also, there are reports, and this is trending, that Trump is eyeing lawyer Alina Habba to be the White House press secretary. So Alina Habba flew on Tuesday from her home to Mar-a-Lago, and she is expected to speak with Trump this week about a role in Trump's White House. So she would be great. Alina Habba, have you watched her, heard her? I mean, every time I hear from her, I've just been more and more impressed. She would be great, especially after Karine Jean-Pierre at the Ministry of Truth. Also, Bitcoin stood on the verge of a $90,000 yesterday. So there was a record-breaking Bitcoin rally nearing $90,000, and it's because of Trump and expectations then that his administration will be crypto-friendly. So Bitcoin is the world's biggest cryptocurrency, and since the election, it touched nearly $90,000 in Asia. It's a gain of more than 25% since November 5th. Incredible. All right, Senator John Thune has been elected as the next Republican leader in the U.S. Senate. He defeated Senator John Cornyn of Texas. Senator Rick Scott was eliminated in the first round of voting. And Trump said, I want to thank my colleagues who placed their faith in me to serve as leader and those who were supporting another candidate. He said, I promise to be a leader who serves the entire Republican conference. Thune said. So that's been a big story. Also, as Republicans choosing their leadership, Senate Republicans chose Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming as majority whip, and Senator Tom Cotton has won the race to become the third ranking Republican in leadership. And so he defeated Iowa's Joni Ernst during leadership elections on Wednesday to replace John Barrasso. As John Barrasso's rising up, then Senator Tom Cotton filling that vacancy. Also, House Speaker Mike Johnson winning unanimous support to be the House Speaker again after Donald Trump's endorsement. So the vote was unanimous, according to two sources in the room who talked to Fox News. And so this came after Trump addressed House Republicans earlier in the day and said he was 100% behind Johnson, according to folks who were there. So Mike Johnson winning enough support, then unanimous support from Republicans in the House. Other stories trending this morning. President-elect Trump saying that he will nominate Matt Gaetz of Florida to serve as his attorney general. Gaetz has been a Trump loyalist, and this is driving people nuts. It really is. I mean, this choice is just driving folks absolutely crazy. Trump said Matt will end weaponized government, protect our borders, dismantle criminal organizations, and restore Americans' badly shattered faith and confidence in the Justice Department. Donald Trump also naming Representative Tulsi Gabbard as the Director of National Intelligence. Now, remember, Tulsi Gabbard was a Democrat. She left the Democratic Party in 2022. She had represented Hawaii in Congress for 8 years as a Democrat, then became an independent, and then just recently became a Republican. And so Trump said for over 2 decades, Tulsi has fought for our country and the freedoms of all Americans. As a former candidate for the Democratic presidential nomination, she has broad support in both parties. She is now a proud Republican, Trump said. And Tulsi Gabbard said it would be an honor to serve in the Trump administration. She was asked about this prior to the announcement. She didn't know about it yet, but she said it would be an honor to serve. We talked about this yesterday, but the story is still trending. Donald Trump nominating Senator Marco Rubio. So now he's formally nominated Marco Rubio to be his Secretary of State. And it was interesting. I saw a piece this morning with the reaction to Tulsi Gabbard and the fact that the two of them have crossed paths before, and there were some sparks that flew. I mean, in terms of there were disagreements that the two of them had on various certain issues. And so Rubio now is saying, no, I have no problems with that choice at all. I said she's, we disagreed about some things and we talked about those, but that's fine. I expect she's going to be great. Also, Joe Rogan, podcaster Joe Rogan, said yesterday that the Harris campaign, remember now, he was in talks with the Harris campaign to get Kamala Harris on his podcast, much like he had done with Donald Trump. And it never wound up happening. And Rogan now is saying that her campaign had asked to avoid talk of legalizing marijuana. And Rogan said, I think they had requirements on things that she didn't want to talk about. You know, she didn't want to talk about marijuana legalization, which I thought was hilarious. Rogan said, I think there's a lot of things that are sadly hilarious about the Democrats. He also said the Harris campaign was kind of chaotic. Said it would often they were indecisive. He said no one could make a decision. They had, I don't know how many conversations with my folks, multiple conversations, giving different dates, different times. And he said for the record, no matter what happens tonight, I think the Kamala Harris campaign badly mishandled the Joe Rogan interview by not doing it, he said. So Rogan is still talking about it. Also, this is incredible. This is a public high school teacher in Southern California, went on a profane rant in his world history class against Donald Trump. And the teacher used profanity and made fervent anti-Trump remarks during a discussion with the students. And he said, this blank is not a blanking game. Does that make sense, everybody? I can't emphasize this enough. Can you end up in a concentration camp in your lifetime? Yes. Can you end up with no human rights? Yes. Will it happen to you? Most likely not, which is a good thing. But as Donald Trump quoted Hitler? Yes. Does he embody some of Hitler's ideas? Yes. And he just went on. So this guy, it is as he went on talking about Trump. Why did he win the election? A rapist, draft dodging, coward, treasonous scum. Why would he win? It's just absolutely incredible, these meltdowns we see. I mean, this is Looney Tune material. He said, God, I blanking hate the patriarchy. If you're a young man right now in front of me, I hope you hate it too, because it's not hurting you. It's hurting everyone you love. You get the privilege of not being born with a uterus, so it doesn't affect you. It's just the same. I mean, he did ranting, absolutely ranting in a high school class. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. And so the teacher is now on administrative leave, and they're reviewing this. And the students are all in favor of him. They're walking out because he was put on administrative leave. So the students are walking out. They love him. It's a little crazy. Also, Patrick Mahomes has broken his silence about his house being burglarized last month. So he was asked to share his first reaction to the burglary during a news conference yesterday, and he said it's frustrating. It's disappointing. I can't get into too many details because the investigation is ongoing, he said. Obviously, it's something you don't want to happen to anybody, but obviously yourself, he said. So he was asked if his family was home during the burglary. He said he couldn't answer that. I can't speak too much about the details of everything with the investigation ongoing, he said, but I'm sure at some point that will be talked about. Also trending this morning, the CEO of an election betting company that had predicted Donald Trump would win has had his electronic devices seized by the FBI. He's a 26-year-old CEO of Polymarket named Shane Copeland. And again, it runs a betting company that predicted that Trump would win the presidential election. What did I say to you prior to the election? Don't look at the polls. Look at the betting markets. If you want a better idea it's a more accurate predictor of who's going to win. I mean, candidly, the polls, now that we've known that and there's still talk about that, and people, folks who were still out apologizing for their polling and what they went wrong still. So anyway, his electronic devices were seized by the FBI, and a source said it's grand political theater at its worst. They could have asked his lawyer for any of these things. Instead, they staged a so-called raid so they can leak it to the media and use it for obvious political reasons. So he was not told the reason for the raid, but the source says they believe it was politically motivated because Polymarket had circumvented the traditional polls and accurately predicted that Trump would beat Kamala Harris by a landslide. And that then led some to accuse the platform then of market manipulation, rigging the polls in favor of, wow. Well, that's the way the left behaves, not the way everyone else behaves. Also, the consumer price index increased by 0.2% in October, taking the 12-month inflation rate up to 2.6%. Both numbers were in line with expectations. The core consumer price index accelerated 0.3% for the month, was at 3.3% annually. That story is trending this morning. You see the ratings for MSNBC have cratered since the election. Their ratings fell by like 50%. Wow. Wow. I mean, can you imagine that, folks? So the ratings have just tanked following the election. Also, there's a story. This one is from Breitbart, and it's trending this morning. That women are stockpiling abortion pills and morning after pills. Men are scheduling vasectomies at a big increase since Donald Trump won the election. It's crazy town, man. The things that we see happening. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. Thanks for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. Currently partly cloudy and 32. This hour brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Information, entertaining talk.
Well, thanks so much for being here this morning. Hope you'll be back at 9:30. Hope I'll be feeling a little bit better by then. So I hope you'll return then. Please let a friend know about what we're doing. That would be very much appreciated. And I'll see you again soon. Thanks so much.
Saturday, December 7th, we'll be singing along with tributes to legends like Dolly Parton.